to sing for us His eye is on the sky.
Welcome to the show today. That goes back to when was that, Dr. Ben? Last August?
Last July.
Last July.
Yeah.
July
It's a year since he
98.
died.
And I was on John Henry Clark's memorial, and Amy Peterson Troop.
Yeah,
What a star.
yeah.
And she's not even professional.
It's John Clark, the girl who's used to do the latest type of for John Clark. I think the sisters or the girl is the aunt. One is a relation of that.
No, I ran into her outside of my building. I live in Esplanade, and I ran outside the building. And she had little pigtails on.
Yeah.
She's so modest.
Yeah.
And would you believe this young lady's not a professional?
No.
She's very modest.
Yeah.
And they're trying to get her into, singing
Yeah.
professionally.
She'd eventually come out singer 10 to 1, I believe.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah.
Well, that was quite a day for all of us.
Yeah, I missed I caught just a little of her, but not enough as I wanted to. I heard her and didn't hear it. It sounds funny because I blocked out for some reason. Most of that went out. I was there and I didn't hear her.
Well, you and Dr. Clark were friends for how many years?
45.
45 years.
Yes.
Phew. Wow,
And
that's a long time.
of that, we differ strongly on the Marxist and the capitalist view. I didn't support it, a Marxist, no capitalist. I support a stand by Garvey, which was you make enough, after you make enough money, then you go on making for other people. You make to put in the pool. And so they didn't satisfy both of them. And John went to the Marxist side. He became the editor for Freedom Way magazine. And yet he and I, as individual, between the four, still very, very tight.
So he was a socialist.
He was a socialist.
Okay. All
And
right.
I was a Garveyite.
Garveyite. And Garveyite meant that...
We didn't particularly sponsor a special form of economics.
Okay.
At the same time, we did because Garvey said that when you make $30,000 in the bank, anything beyond that, you must make for the community. That money will be generated to the community.
Well, that's a source of socialism, too.
Oh, maybe,
Yeah.
but we didn't. Since it is, we felt that people would, the $30,000 would be the most that you would have in the bank.
Ah, okay. All right. All right. Well, that was quite an experience being associated with Dr. Clark.
Yeah.
And you two first met, what year was that?
At Schomburg.
At the Schomburg.
At the
Okay.
Schomburg Connection. We went to see Arthur Lanza Schomburg. I went to see him as a Puerto Rican, coming from Puerto Rico, having an experience there, and a collector of black things for the black person. And as such, my interest was that way, whereas John went to him, see him from an American standpoint. He didn't know, at that time, John had no experience in Africa. His experience was Africa-American.
Well, let's explain who, was it Dr. Schomburg? Was he a doctor?
He didn't get the...
Doctor.
Many schools, I think, may have awarded him.
But he was originally from Puerto Rico?
He was from Puerto Rico.
He's Puerto Rican and black
black
descent?
Puerto Rican.
A black Puerto Rican, okay.
Yeah, and he was the first black man to work in the Wall Street area as a typist, other than as a porter.
So we're talking what year?
Whoa, we're talking about Schomburg worked in Wall Street, I guess in the early 30s.
Early 30s? A black man on Wall Street?
Yeah.
Was he light-skinned that he could pass?
It was about your complexion.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to your early beginnings. I know you came here in 1939.
Around there, tickling in the 40s, I came here from Puerto Rico, and they
Via Ethiopia? You were
well,
born
I
in
mean, I
Ethiopia?
was born in Ethiopia,
Okay.
but I meant my coming here was directly from Puerto Rico. I had already come to Brazil with my father, but my father was sent overseas by the Ethiopian government. Ethiopia was then under the Emperor Lijasu. Lijasu was the emperor that the Abuna, the head of the Coptic Christian Church, and Selassie, made Selassie, they took away the rule from the grandson of Menelik and passed it on to Selassie. Selassie is only a cousin. He wasn't nothing more. He wasn't a close cousin. He was a cousin of the throne. Menelik was the person who.
Now, you're going to have to slow down for us, because we're trying to give the people a history lesson. A lot of young people, these names are very strange to them, and we might take it a little slow. Now, you were born in
1918.
1918. Now, you left Ethiopia. You were born in Ethiopia.
I was born in Gondar, Ethiopia. The son of Puerto Rican mother and Ethiopian father. My mother was in England studying baby. We call when the woman gets to give birth to the baby. The ones that handles it, they are she's midwife. Midwife. And my father was went on a mission to Germany for Ethiopia. He was on mission and returning back to Ethiopia by way. He had to come through there, went to England, and he was taking a boat going to come down to England, to make a mission to go to the two columns they call the Strait of Gibraltar. The Strait of Gibraltar was spoken of in terms of two columns of Greece at that time.
Okay.
And he was going from there, he was going over to the canal, to the Suez Canal.
Okay.
And and from Suez Canal, then he would go on down to Ethiopia. But
this is a normal tour for him?
No, that was the normal way the travel.
Oh, you mean traveling? Okay, I get you. Okay.
To get to
From England, okay,
I traveled that way.
All right.
And it isn't like today when you get all those ships and planes running all over the place. And
so you left Ethiopia when you were 6?
I was about 6 years old.
So your early thoughts of Ethiopia were countryside?
What my thoughts of Ethiopia, beyond what I had experienced, what came from my mother and father.
Okay.
Yeah.
And who? Your father was Hebrew, or your mother was Hebrew?
My father is Hebrew, and my mother is Hebrew.
Both your parents were Hebrew?
Both parents were Hebrew. Okay. My mother was much lighter than my father, that because of our Puerto Rican background, with the mixture of the Spaniards and the African Americans, as I said, the Afro and the Spaniards. They didn't have in the Negro word. They said the Negro, Moreno, and so forth. Well, Negro it sounds like you say Negro. The letters are the same, but Negro in Spanish
means black
and means black.
Right.
And the black people in Puerto Rico was called Moreno and Morena. A Moreno was a man, and Morena was a woman.
Okay. So you left Puerto Rico and you came to the United States in '39.
I left Puerto Rico and went to Cuba.
Oh, wow.
I went to school in Cuba.
You went to school in Cuba?
Yeah.
Oh.
That time Batista was ruling Cuba. And when I graduated from Cuba, I went back to Puerto Rico.
How many languages do you speak?
About 7, I guess.
Oh, my goodness. Fantastic.
And Spanish and English was my favorite. It's my language in the house that my mother and father spoke to me. Okay. And that was you could say the prime language, and Amharic was a prime language. But just being an Ethiopian, I spoke Amharic, Italian, Amharic, Italian. I spoke Geese. And
What was it?
Geese.
Yeast?
Geese.
Geese.
Geeeze. That's the ancient language of Ethiopia.
Ah, okay.
Ethiopia had 5 national languages. There are many languages in Ethiopia. Besides that, and Ethiopia had different peoples. People according to the presentation, the face, and we call groups of people certain names.
Well, you know, most people think of Ethiopia, and even my own reference to Ethiopia was them, starving to death. I don't know how many years ago it was. And my first imagery of Ethiopians was, when I saw them on television, I looked at them and I said, "Oh, they look like family." I mean, I felt so attracted to them.
Yeah, the Amharan was what they were highlighting at that time. For instance, the people they called Gala, 1/2 of the population look like any man you could find in Harlem.
Yeah.
Look like you've been in Harlem. If you go to Ethiopia and you go to southern Ethiopia, it looks like you go to Harlem. Because
well, I had an
the Gala
Ethiopian-
was like any African American you see.
Well, a lot of Ethiopians come up to me and say, "I look Ethiopian."
Yeah, that is there's a thing, excuse, there's a person they call an Ethiopian. That would be Amharan. But then Amharan, in the majority population is Gala. Is the Galas from the southern part of Ethiopia,
Okay.
not the Amharan. Amharan is a powerful person because that was the group which Selassie, the emperor, was of. But the Gala is the vast majority of the people.
Okay.
And they are now asking for independence. That's what's causing the conflict in Ethiopia.
Today.
Yeah, they want
Okay.
they want
They want
self-rule.
independence or they don't want?
They want their own rule, their own power to have at least a governor.
Okay.
or
From the
every-
northern part of
Short
Ethiopia.
of that, they want independence.
Okay.
You see,
All right.
and they got their own religion. But they got their own religion and their own God, their own everything.
Well, talking about religion, when you came to America here in 1939, being Hebrew, what was that like?
Well, Ethiopia had thousands of people they call by the Ethiopian slang falasha, mean
Right.
don't touch me, strange, funny, different to some other people. And that's because your background is Hebrew. You belong
Okay.
to the Hebrew religion.
Right.
And we had Queen Judith. We had a queen in Judith. And she was the most powerful of the group. And the history of Judith in Ethiopia is a very, very big history, and of the Hebrew people. And there's history of the mating of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And
Now, King Solomon is what? Hebrew.
he's Hebrew.
But Queen
He's Hebrew.
well,
And
Queen
the
of
Queen of Sheba is
she was Hebrew
Ethiopian.
too.
She's Ethiopian, a woman of Hebrew, Ethiopian Hebrew.
Both
And
Solomon and Sheba were Hebrew.
were Hebrews.
Okay. And they were black.
They were Hebrews.
What was their complexion? Well, they were in the sun, so they had to have a suntan.
we at home would say they were black,
Okay.
but
Here in America, they claim them to be something other.
yeah,
What I'm trying to get at is the lies that we've been taught all about our history. And I'm sure a lot of people out there, you mention Hebrew or you mention Judaism, and right away you think of Israel and the European concept of what
well,
happened.
you got in India, you had Hebrews,
Well, what I'm getting at is that...
the Kashim Jews
Yeah.
of India are
Right.
Hebrews, look like me.
Yeah, well, what I was getting at is that being Hebrew or being Jewish is a religion, not a race of people.
Not a race. It's not.
But
it's
as
a
you come
religion.
here to America, and
It becomes a race.
it
When
becomes
I
a
come here,
race.
Yeah, but then
How did you accept that coming to America?
I couldn't accept
Being
it.
black.
I couldn't understand it because I look at a white man from
Europe.
Sweden or from so forth.
Yeah.
And he look, and I would look at Jew, and he would look the same way.
Right.
I could tell him, you can tell a Jew from certain other people. You wouldn't know who certain Jews look like any Christian.
Anybody else, right.
Yeah.
But
it wasn't
they
a race.
laughed at you because you were black and claiming to be Hebrew.
And when I was small, I claimed my identity as Hebrew, as my parents taught me.
Right.
But after I got big, I got 19, 20 years, I dropped it because I didn't need it that much, because I didn't need it more than it needed me. And since it didn't serve me, I stopped serving it.
So it's all this racism that you got from the white.
Yeah, and
Jews.
at that, it became more harder for me to carry.
Especially in '39. I mean, it must have been something.
Yeah.
You in 1939 walking around with a yarmulke.
And black, I got hell from black and white.
So you got it from both sides.
Yes. The blacks couldn't understand of a black person being Hebrew.
Right.
And they could understand a black person being Christian because the slave master was Christian.
Right.
The first white people he met were Christians,
Right.
and they were the slave master.
Right.
He could accept the slave master, and he accepted the slave master religion and his ways, but he couldn't accept his own people coming to him. Said it. And Ethiopia was a Christian nation before Rome.
Before Rome.
Emperor Xenia became a Christian before Constantine.
Well, Constantine was 300. And we're going,
340 or something like that.
That's
Of
AD.
the Christian era.
Right.
And Constantine became the emperor of a country as a Christian emperor.
I tell you what we're going to do. Hey. Dr. Smalls just came on to sit down. I'm sorry to just. How you doing, buddy? Good. Well, let's go back to some of the ancient history. As usual, I'm getting a lesson here. There's another historian on this set here, but Dr. Bennett's going to take us back to a few places that we know a little about, and it's the ancient Ethiopia, which ruled and dominated Africa for quite a few years. We're talking about, what, 900 BC?
Yeah, Ethiopia ruled, people forget Ethiopia ruled Egypt. There was Ethiopian pharaohs. The 25th dynasty was an Ethiopian dynasty ruled by Ethiopians. And the people...
And this is after Moses.
Oh, who are Moses? That's a belief. Nobody can say he see Moses. You or no man can tell me.
So I mean, so we can't believe any of these movies that come out of.
That's a belief. That religion is more correct than the Indian religion? Is it more correct than the
Next thing you're going to tell me, there's no Santa Claus either.
No. And Santa Claus, the children goes along with believing it.
Goodness.
Those are statements that people believe in the Hebrew, the Muslim, the Christians, the Yoruba, all the religions I could call. Only one there that you're not familiar with. And is the God of any of one religion there wrong or right? Isn't there all of them claim to have a God? Which one is right?
Well, we're all God's children.
You could say that. So you mean?
I would think so.
I heard the statement all the time. But
why would God leave anybody else out?
I said, I said that the God does things in a mysterious way.
Well, I mean, don't most religions teach you that you got to love your fellow man?
And they don't mean it, because if they meant it, then they would say when we have something, it is for everybody. But
Right.
it's for this religion against that.
So who is really following their religion at first? Just love thy brother as you love yourself?
Well, I listened, I stood home and listened to Cardinal O'Connor.
Mm-hmm.
By mistake said, when he was speaking about the homosexual, he said, after all, God is a man.
Well, God's got to be both, right?
I think that unless I would think that God is the same God for one.
Well, which came first, chicken or the egg?
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I said, they tell me when this world was formed, there was a fellow named Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they didn't tell me no woman yet. Then I get a cock and bull story about how a woman come around, how Adam got a child.
Through the rib.
Through his ribs.
All right.
I mean, how are you going to be? What I can believe another person's religion who got something else than that. I can't believe his. I must believe this. Oh man.
Well, there are fairy tales throughout history. You can go back to ancient Egypt where we had Osiris
All right.
and the first virgin birth, right?
I got a virgin birth there long
Right.
before Mary.
Right.
4,200 years before Mary. Osiris,
right?
mated with
Isis.
Isis,
Right,
Asar,
Isis,
and
okay.
got a child named Horus.
Horus, right.
4,000 years,
Before Mary.
this virgin birth.
Okay.
Then come Mary, 4,200 years later, and she is doing the same thing. The Herculean worship of Isis they have in Greece is wrong.
So all these ancient stories always come back to Africa and the roots.
Come back to Africa, because when the works by Egypt and Ethiopia, there was no work by Greece and Rome, and they said Rome was built by a dog.
Rome was built by
Yeah,
a dog?
that's the old Roman, the old statement as said by Europeans.
Well, the
It
Europeans
was a
only-
dog that was in charge. Imagine a dog built
You
Rome.
have to be very sympathetic towards their...
And I'm supposed to believe that too?
Well, you know the truth. You have your history right here in the book. I might bring out the fact that Dr. Ben's written quite a few books. Black Man on the Nile and His Family by Joseph A. Ben Chakana.
And things that we can't prove. I said, these are statements made. I don't say it's true.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't, for instance, they're speaking about the in the Library of Alexandria. I don't mention it as a fact. I said there's rumors of a Library of Alexandria because up to now we haven't found. It was built of stone, and we can't find a foundation. We can't find anything. So I always say it is rumored,
Okay.
not that it's true.
All right. Well, I might bring it to everybody's attention that Dr. Ben we're going to get Dr. Ben a series on television, on Manhattan Neighborhood Network. That's what public access is all about, so we can get you the truth. And we're going to make sure that, a lot of his stories and a lot of his points of view, which we as people searching for the truth need to hear. And that's a promise to you, Doc.
You
All
hear
right.
another side.
That's, we got to hear it. I dedicate this program to searching for the truth.
Yeah.
If you ain't got something real to say, I don't want to.
You can get a lot
There's
of
so many
friends.
lies out there, especially being black in America.
Oh man, you can't say anything that hasn't been said by other people would not be the truth, because black people can't have the truth.
Are you, the people out there that are of European descent, the first person to actually speak about the Egyptians was Herodotus, who came
That's
from
the
an
first
island.
European.
European.
First European.
Well,
that
most
spoke.
people in America today refer back to Herodotus, who was 600 BC?
450 to
450, right, 450.
450, 455 BC.
Okay. So now that's 450 years before Christ.
Yeah.
Now,
That's for the African American here, but Herodotus follows many of the writers from Greece.
Okay. Now, he was from an island off of Greece.
Samoa.
All right. Now, at the time, Greece was a colony of Ethiopia.
Not Greece, Samoa was a colony of Ethiopia, and parts of the other islands. Ethiopia had conquered them.
Okay. So you have a Greek that was part of a colony of Ethiopia coming to Egypt, which was under Ethiopian rule.
Egypt was under Ethiopian rule.
All right. Now, we're talking way before the Romans got there, because the Romans didn't get to...
The Roman got there in the...
40 B.C.
The 30th dynasty.
Which is 40 B.C.
The Roman got there in the 31st dynasty, the end of dynastic rule.
All right. Now, these dynastic rules go all the way back to 6000 B.C.
B.C. Dynastic rule. The first emperor would be the emperor... would put us, there were different calendars of the different, right, Champollion, Blakey, the fellow...
Blakey, he discovered the first human, right? Lucy?
No, not Blakey of that 1960.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about Blakey before. And there were 5 different calendars that we were using, besides the Egyptian calendar of the museum. And therefore, we have 5 different things that we start: 4100, 4200, 4300. And that's based upon either the museum in Cairo or Champollion or Breasted, different one. It depends on which one you're going to select.
Wow. There's so much to talk about. You know, I just I just want to update ourselves and bring us up to, where we are today. Now, you've heard a lot so far about ancient history, but I want to come back to coming here to America when you were a boy. Well, you were grown actually in '39.
I was I came a man, a
Right.
young man.
So give me an idea of what it was really. I mean, that must have been really traumatic, coming here to America, being Jewish or Hebrew, and then facing racism as it is on both sides.
But what I was lucky because you got to remember that Caspar Hussein was my uncle, my great uncle, my mother's uncle.
Who was that?
Caspar Hussein.
Caspar Hussein.
Hussein. It sounds like like a German Jew, isn't it? He's a Danish. His father was a Dane man.
Danish.
A Dane.
From Denmark.
And
Okay.
in the Caribbean, in St. Croix, which is now the United States Virgin Islands, was the Danish Virgin Islands. And first they were owned by the Dane, then before that they were owned by England. England gave it to Denmark to support the girl. The Danish king had married the Danish member of the Danish family married into the English royal family, and their daughter was what they'd given the islands to support Denmark, and that's how the reason many Africans in the Caribbean up to now carry Peterson, Hjalmarson, Jacobson, Johansson, and so forth, names such as that, coming from the Danes. And then the Germans had a part of the islands through Denmark, came down there, and they were fighting for an entrance to the canal. It was blocking the Panama Canal. That was the basis for holding on to those islands.
Okay. So let's get back to Harlem, your experience in Harlem.
Harlem?
Harlem.
Oh, Harlem. Yeah.
So you came here in '39, and you met a few black Jews.
Yeah. Caspar Hussein had brought the numbers. He and Alex Pompey brought the numbers from Cuba to the United States. The two first persons, that's the 3 digits. and they treated it had become popular in Harlem, where the people made it. You got people who lived from the numbers rather than work. They went and live out the numbers. Bumpy Johnson.
Oh, you plain numbers. Okay.
Yeah, plain numbers. Bumpy Elroy Johnson's.
So this is you're going back to 39 and 40s?
Yeah.
When Bumpy
back to the
Johnson was
40s,
39?
going back to Elroy Johnson,
Right.
who they called Bumpy Johnson.
Right.
Supposed to be a gangster.
He was the godfather of Harlem, actually.
Yeah.
Right, Bumpy
Well-
Johnson.
Well, I had come to my uncle to live. I didn't know what was a banker because I thought a banker was a banker, and I didn't know about the number system. And Hussein was taking care of his sister's children, Oscar Bow, James Bow, and another one I could never forget. He got a Danish name, taking care of the children because Bow could hardly take care of his children. He didn't do good as a minister, and the little store they had was barely making it. But Caspar would send money, just like Caspar was helping to support the Virgin Islands. One man supporting the Virgin Islands off the gambling money,
Off the numbers.
off the numbers, was supporting the Virgin
Is
Islands.
this before the mafia came over and took up the
Yeah.
numbers?
He who put the money, basic money to make the hairdressing woman, Madam Walker.
Oh,
Basically,
right?
the basic money for Madam Walker came from Caspar Hussein and the numbers.
but Madam Walker goes back to early 1900s, doesn't it?
Yes, Caspar Hussein come here as a young boy.
Ah, fantastic.
And Caspar Hussein wound up as being a partner in Frank's. They are 135th Street, the bar and thing and grill they had there. Small's Paradise.
Oh, yeah, I remember all that stuff.
That's where he was. Give him a job, allegedly, when they had lock him up, put him to jail. And they don't talk about his relationship with Roosevelt. No. Al Smith and all of them used to. You don't talk about.
Oh, see, we got enough
And
for
I
a movie here.
I sat down in the house and saw them
See, we're going to write a
sitting
script
alongside
about
each
this.
other talking business. And
Well,
those
as you
are
can
things
see, we're going to have quite a program with
Yeah,
Doc.
yeah.
We're going to get make Dr. Ben a producer. You see, he has so many stories that it is so vast.
And Caspar became the first black man to build, not build, only own it, to build his own house from the ground up. Apartment house in Harlem,
In
on
Harlem?
Convent Avenue.
Which one?
150, you know, out on 51st, I think it is. It got a little thing.
I was
and
born around.
where they got
It's
the
right around the
courts,
corner from you,
where
Doctor.
the courts are up the hill there. The court, the municipal court, it goes up the hill, and it comes to 151st Street, and it stops. I think it's 51st, and then you come out to St. Nicholas, but you
Yeah,
couldn't.
that's.
You couldn't go straight.
What street is that?
That's about
50,
St. Nicholas
53rd.
yeah, St. Nicholas. You got St. Nicholas.
Yeah, it comes
there.
out on 153rd Street.
Right. I think
Right.
I think
That's the beginning of.
Yeah.
That's the end of.
I think it's
St.
yeah.
Nicholas,
And
153rd.
51st comes there and stop and over.
Yeah.
And then you go up the hill where the court is. And that big house in the corner,
Yeah.
that was the house that Caspar built, the first one. And then he built an
Oh,
up
set back. Oh, I know the one you're
right.
talking
And then he
about.
built another house
Set
up near the church there, and 51st, going down the hill to go up by City College.
By City College.
Yeah, by they're close by.
We should have pictures of all this.
Yeah,
Well, we're going to have quite a show with
Yeah.
Dr. Ben as producer and actually host.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that. By January, we'll have Dr. Ben on the air.
That was the Harlem that you don't hear that side. They try to make Harlem only for singing and dancing and entertainment. That black people only could entertain people. They can't do nothing else.
Well, you know, I was born and raised in Harlem.
All right then.
I was born in Harlem in 1941 in Sydenham Hospital.
My daughter, Colette,
yeah?
was born in St. Hospital.
That was a good time. I remember trolley cars on 125th Street.
They went up on Amsterdam Avenue.
Yeah, up to Amsterdam,
I
sure.
know, man.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
There was
Oh,
a
yeah,
shoe,
that was
there was a
fun.
shoe shop that made shoe right on the corner, going up at the bottom of the hill, going up to Amsterdam Avenue.
A shoe shop.
A shoe
Well, you
shop.
know that live chicken market is still there. On
They're
126th Street. It's still there.
They still kill
Because my mother, we used to go down
We
and
used
get
to
fresh
buy
chicken.
our
Yeah.
chicken.
Oh, that place
Yeah.
is famous.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
remember
owned
that.
now by Puerto Ricans.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
yeah. But
That's good.
I go there I go there all the time.
I lived on 147th Street, between 146 and 147. My father got us a fifth-floor apartment,
Yeah.
and it's because he liked to run the stairs to stay in shape.
Oh,
And you look out on the Jersey shoreline, or the
right.
Palisade Amusement Park, and watch
Right.
the sunset every night
Right.
with trolley cars going by.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. I used to go up on the roof and sleep on the roof in the summertime because I was on the
you
fifth
go up,
floor.
up the street there, and you go up to there was a hospital up the street there.
On Amsterdam?
Knickerbocker.
Knickerbocker. Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember Knickerbocker.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I remember that.
That's right.
That was on Convent.
Yeah.
130th,
Convent, yeah.
130th Street.
I
Yeah.
said you go straight up the
Yeah.
street.
Oh, 125th Street, yeah.
Right.
So we're sitting there talking, but we got an audience out there, Doctor.
Yeah, that time, right down the street was a hospital we couldn't go into.
How much time do we have? We got 20 minutes. You got anybody out there that's curious about, you got anybody can handle the phone? Nat? No? Oh. Give us an idea of what your relationship with the Jewish community is nowadays.
Now I have certain friends some friends that I had when I came here, and knew Gilchrist, which he was the fellow that came from England to visit us. He wanted to know about black Jews, and he came from Europe, I think it's Holland, and came to Ethiopia and lived with my family for a short period of time. And then he went on to the other branch. He lived with the family all the time, but he lived in the house of other members of my family, and the Fightovich paper on the Hebrews of Ethiopia, and it's still being read by any Hebrew. And Hebrew up on 59th Street, there is a Hebrew place there where they continue writing of Hebrews, and you can go in that library and still find
Ethiopian Hebrews?
Yeah, many Ethiopian Hebrews go there.
59th Street?
Yeah, 59th Street and Park Avenue.
I must go there.
Yeah,
I
where you
must
go
there.
across to
I'd
the
be
bridge.
That's right down the street
Right
from
up the
here.
street.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You go across
Yeah.
the bridge, right up there.
Right.
And Park Avenue.
Ah, okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you say most of your family now were part of that migration from Ethiopia to Israel.
And now my uncles and cousins and everything is over there
In Israel.
in Israel.
Okay.
In Israel. And
So were they part of that Falasha migration?
Yeah, the Falasha migration that went to, by the way, went
the
to
70s.
Sudan.
In
They
70s,
went to
yeah.
Sudan, and
Okay.
from Ethiopia to Sudan, and Sudan to Israel, and they catching hell because
In Israel?
condition. Yeah,
In Israel?
you think it is? They say black bread for black Jews, and they must go through another circumcision because the rabbi is the one that recognize them because they're not done. Circumcision isn't right. What is that, Rabbi? What are you going to tell me? Make the circumcision right?
So you mean there's racism in Israel?
Oh, yeah.
Against black people.
It's got racism everywhere.
Okay.
Doesn't stop you from being a racist because you're Hebrews.
So it's still the white, black.
But they still got the black, white racial condition everywhere.
I read a book a couple of years back, The Lost Jews. I forgot who wrote it. and they told us about the real involvement of the Jewish people in South Africa at the time, and they were very, very tough on the
Very
philosophers.
strong.
And the philosophers are suffering underneath the Christian and the Muslim rule in Ethiopia. So they were catching it from all sides.
The Italians were Roman Catholics.
Ah, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Italians were Roman Catholic, and we got help from Rome during the time Italy attacked Ethiopia at World War.
Mussolini in
Yeah,
35, was it?
35, the World War
35,
decision. The
yeah.
World War decision.
And that was a revenge for 18...
It was a revenge when we beat Italy
Right.
in 1896.
1896, right, okay. That's why Mussolini went into Ethiopia in 35.
It was a revenge fight.
Right. And he had all the weapons and they didn't have guns.
And when we went to ask to buy gun, England sold us dumb bullets.
Is that what happened?
They sold us bullets that didn't work.
What?
Oh, yeah. But you see, you can't say that because the friend, is speaking about America's friend. But the truth of the fact, they sell us dumb bullets. And Roosevelt put an embargo on Ethiopia that people couldn't leave here in mass, go to Ethiopia and join.
Oh, that's right. The people in Harlem wanted to go over there.
They were trying to go to people in Harlem.
Because there were riots in Harlem.
Right.
Right.
And you're not supposed to say so. You're supposed to be extra good and don't speak the truth.
And this is the middle of the Depression at that.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
So as you see, the struggle being black in America always has been a struggle.
All right.
I mean, no matter where you come from.
And I wouldn't join with people and not. I prefer to say nothing than to speak and speak a lie just to be popular.
Well, we want to deal with the truth because I think we as a people have to face the truth.
I know just up at Cornell, when I was speaking at Cornell, they had certain things that you said was safe to say if you're going to say
politically
something.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. But I
when did you
what
teach
had
at
to be
Cornell?
said.
When did you teach
I
at
taught
Cornell?
at Cornell 19 years in the late 60s, 69, the 70s. I taught 19 years.
Wow. Okay.
9 years at Ithaca, at the African Study and Research Center.
Wow. Okay.
I started as a full professor.
Fantastic.
I taught.
So you were giving out this information then. I mean,
yeah.
why haven't we heard more about this?
I retired from Cornell in '89.
Well, I'd like you to make a movie
Yeah.
about your history or a biography.
Yeah. Before that, I taught many schools in the city. I helped John sometime, and I taught there, and I taught at the Pace College.
Pace College?
Yeah.
I went to Pace.
Well, I taught down at City Hall for a few months, and then I taught up in Westchester, when they used to be up in Westchester there, not far from the girls' school, Catholic girls' school.
Mm. And you'll be teaching soon on M&N. All right, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Anything you'd like to tell the public about yourself, about what you think lies in the future for black people in general?
I could say that I spent a long time doing my research to do 42. And
42.
I wrote 42 books.
Oh, okay.
And I've got volumes of unpublished books, as you see in the house, and as you see my house. And I didn't get become a big person because I published most of the books myself. And when I became unable because it was too much work for me to do, I turned it over to a black publishing company, black publisher company. That was before the big publishing company this company.
This one?
No, the company that sell books to colleges mostly, near Gilchrist.
Barnes and Noble?
Barnes and Noble,
okay.
yeah. Before they start handling my books. But it is that many of the people, many of the publishers turned down my book by wanting me to deduct much of the information. Like I wanted to show pictures and I wanted to put black books.
Sure.
It was written in different parts of the world. I used that as reference.
Right.
They didn't want that to be in there. I published certain pictures, you see it right there. They didn't want the picture. They say too much evidence. How going to be too much evidence? But I knew just
they want to perpetuate the lies that they've.
You bring out a lie and you got to keep it going.
Well, I mean, when you want to preach superiority, how can you show that black people have any sense at all? I mean, this is still going on today. I mean, most of our youth have no idea what their history is about. And that's one of the main purposes of having Dr. Ben on, and like professors, and professors like Dr. Ben, to show you your history, our history, because I always get a history lesson whenever I speak to Dr.
Would
Ben.
you imagine black kids in Harlem don't know Martin Luther King? I am not a favorite of Martin Luther, but I just joined a reverence. I am a Garvey man. But you imagine kids 13, 14 years old don't know King?
No.
I mean, it's just as...
That's sad.
It's sad that...
So how do you expect them to know black history?
All right.
They don't know Martin Luther King.
They will know Garvey. And Garvey is... And Garvey
or
is...
Dr. Clark, or yourself.
Garvey is known as a bad man. Why is bad? What he did black people... Nothing. They frame Garvey like you frame anybody else in the court.
Well, they show him that one picture of him sitting in the car saying, "Let's go back to Africa."
Yeah.
And the blacks here say, "I don't want to go back to no jungle."
But they don't show that it was Robert Allen and things. They don't show the fellow who wanted to carry back Africans on his own ship free. He would undertake the expense. Delaney. They don't have much history of Delaney. And Delaney, when he said because of the treatment, he would prefer to die anyway than in America. He was buried in Canada. He died in Canada. And they don't show that black man had dignity to say.
Right.
That they didn't show him because he spoke with a brilliance and militancy. Yet he can't get played up, but they play somebody crying and begging all the time.
Right.
See?
Right.
They don't show them. Just why I say, if you can't show me as a man, being a man, don't show me at all.
Right. Well, I always want to give the station here, Manhattan Neighborhood Network, some accolades, and just it's a joy being on television to show you the true light, give you some hint of what actually happened in history, and it's one of the few that have the constitutional right to speak our minds, and we aren't censored by some sponsor, and we can actually talk the truth.
Yeah.
Forward to seeing Dr. Ben on MNN.
Well, it will be something. Then
We're going to do it.
Then I will have to buy the different paraphernalia that goes with a TV set now because I got the old set. I can't afford.
You've got a VCR. We can tape it here. We do it here in the studio.
Yeah, but I mean, there's so many different things you put to a TV set now that if it's bought within the last 10 years, on my TV set.
We got Professor Smalls to help us. Dr. Gilchrist.
Yeah, go 20 years.
I made a commitment for you already.
My TV goes.
I'm sorry we have a chair set up for you.
Yeah.
You want? All right. But
Smalls,
Dr. Gilchrist
and Jeffries and those fellow catch hell up at City Hall for the truth.
City College.
At City College for the truth.
I know.
They dare to tell the truth, and if you can't say that a Hebrew say something wrong, or say,
Well, you remember the last show we
Hebrews
gave?
are called Jews today.
Yeah.
And if you call a Semite, what's a Semite?
Okay.
I mean,
Get to the truth.
The Arabs, as Muslims, are
Semites,
Semites,
right.
because the word Semite is misplayed. And
What does Semite mean?
What do you mean by Semite? Like they had three brothers, the Hamite and the Shemite, and the next one was what? It was three of them. They don't have that at all, because no human beings are called that today. It was Ham, Shem, and who else? Right then. Jeff. No Jephites. No Jephites.
No Jephite.
Isn't it strange? Ham and Shem, but you got no Jephites. What happened to Jeff?
You lost me on that one. You lost me on that one. Only on live TV do you get to see these sort of things. Right?
Yeah.
Dr. Ben, well, closing down, we got about 4 minutes left. It's been a pleasure. And again, maybe we should play that. No, we heard that song. I meant to bring the second song, Don't Cry for Me, with Dr. Clark. Yeah. But we might, in homage to Dr. Clark and passing on the teaching skills, and thank you for the information you've given us today.
I wish I could
Oh, yeah, you know what we didn't get into is that Dr. Ben has brought a book here of some ancient maps. I mean, I didn't have time to really put them on camera because we had to take them out and straighten them out, but he has maps here, which we'll see on future shows. I mean, we've got a classic historian here, and we're going to teach you some of the truths in our history books that are not in our European history books. Yeah. You know, truths about the black man here in America and in history, and which we all need to hear more about. Matter of fact, we have one map. I don't know if I can get it on camera. 2 minutes? Well, we only have 2 minutes left. But next time, there'll be future shows on this, and you'll see much more of Dr. Ben than you've seen in the past. It's like to compliment my crew and the people that are responsible for us being here. Manhattan Neighborhood Network, which is public access, and it's your constitutional right to become a producer here at Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as I offered to Dr. Ben and anybody else has something important to say, and something that we need to hear as the public. So, you want to roll that last clip there? We'll just go out that way. And I guess you can keep it on mic or what. Watch, I want to hear some more of that song. You missed the beginning there. Did you roll it back, or we can just talk and going out if you like. So, did he roll it back anyway? There I go. Excuse me. Let me pay what I'm doing. All right. Let's just finish talking, Dr. Ben. Mm-hmm. Anything last words you'd like to say?
Well, no. What I would like to say, to know, is to get some of the old-time Garveyite and get them with some young fellows and discuss things. The Langston Hughes, the Hughes, the Ben Davis, the minister, a little minister we used to have there. I can't remember his name now, but those men on the street, Sister Bessie Phillips, recalling her work, and Carlos Cooks, and